Hello, my name is Olurotimi Osha. Today is May the 24th, 2026. We're still in Mental Health Awareness Month, and I thought I should just comment on um, uh, America's Secretary of State, Marco Rubio's remarks in India that indicating that America does not have a shortage of stupid people, or, I mean, I am paraphrasing him, but it did sort of suggest that uh, the many stupid people uh, might have too many stupid people. In fact, I don't know, but it was rather interesting that America's Secretary of State, who's supposed to be America's top diplomat representing America and putting America's best foot forward, was actually seemed to be throwing America's citizens under the bus in foreign lands in India. Um, and just 2 days ago, of course, something really stupid, bizarre happened. It's easy to make light of it since at least nobody died. I'm responding. I'm talking about the incident that's gone viral and everybody's discussing it. Um, a black woman, Gwendolyn White, I believe, 57-year-old, shot at uh, two attorneys uh, representing the police in North Carolina, and in a civil suit. Uh, they were injured, but they're again, they're not life-threatening injuries. But she's been charged with uh, 2 counts of attempted murder. I don't know what she was hoping to achieve. Um, you know, it's of course, her former. She had a former attorney, and I saw an interview with him, and I've read his remarks as well. And he indicated that he knew all along that she had significant mental health issues, and that it's unfortunate she wasn't getting the treatment she should have been getting. So where she's going. Certainly she's going to be in a psychiatric hospital for a while receiving treatments. It's not funny, because what she did. It's unfortunate that people seem that there's a lot of there are a lot of people. There's a contingent of people that suggest that she was railroaded by the court system, by the police, by attorneys and judges, since 2021. But the thing is, once you bring guns and you're violent, you've lost the script. You've lost me, certainly. Of course, this reinforces the advocacy, right, for the abolition, the repeal of the Second Amendment, right? I've been saying that uh, cops we shouldn't have stupid cops who carry guns, because what the power of life and death over Americans is too is too grave, right? It can't be taken lightly, and so you have to have very intelligent people. Intelligent people. Look, we require our surgeons, before they can cut people off, up, our physicians, to go through many many years of training and discipline. Why should cops who don't have a GED, or just are in the process of getting a GED, even if they had a GED, we know, even if they had a diploma mill degree, right? We know those diploma mills, they're as good as you being a stupid person, because they're buying those degrees from the University of Phoenix, from the Australia University, all those online degrees, they're being bought, right? Why you can't go and get a regular degree, brick and mortar, like everybody else in America, like people who put in the work, I don't know, but that's a different matter, right? Um, why should cops who can in an instant take someone an American's life uh, not have the high bar for their discipline and their intelligence for their good judgment? Cops, from what I've seen, they don't have good judgment. From my experience, I have no criminal record, no criminal history. I've been a victim of cops in my own home. I'm a law-abiding American citizen. I've been doing videos explaining what happened to me. I was falsely accused. My Fourth Amendment rights were violated. My 14th Amendment rights were violated. And then stupid cops then lied to show how stupid they are. The charge statement is a distortion of what's on the body cam. It shows you how, and even the way they wrote it, it shows how intellectually challenged our cops are, and they have guns. Now, that aside, the public, I think there should be a high standard in order to become a cop in America. Very high standard, right? To make it more professional, more respectable. And likewise, though, Americans, the public, for a very civilized nation, we're an advanced capitalist civilized nation. Americans shouldn't, the public don't need to be gun toting cowboys, yahoos, right? The Secretary of State clearly thinks there are many yahoos, right, roaming around America from his comments in India. And as we can see, so this lady, Gwendolyn Smith, I've been, I just took time and was checking, what the story was. And they were saying, well, look, first of all, like I said, she's lost the script when she shoots at anybody. It doesn't matter. Then she was trying to kill attorneys in court. She's, it's unfortunate. It's rather unfortunate what her situation is. She clearly, I mean, what did she hope to achieve, right? She took a gun, wanted to, she shot at attorneys. What was she expecting to be the outcome? It was clearly not intelligent, right? And her attorney going and talking about mental health. They use mental health as a fig leaf, as an excuse for everything in America. If it was a mental health issue, what I haven't seen anywhere that she was institutionalized, she was diagnosed with anything. She's 57 years old. It's just a lack of discipline. When do we say, okay, people just have a bad judgment in America? No discipline, no discipline, impulsive, enraged. Yeah, she's being short shrifted. She's being, railroaded by the system. She's not going to be the first. She'll probably be the last, right? And that's not how you win your case. It's bizarre. What her attorney said, though. Her attorney said she had a case. The incident she was in court for was with regard to a case she'd had. She'd been calling the cops on her neighbors 37 times. This happened in North Carolina, right? 37 times. I mean, my God. As she called the cops about 37 times on her neighbors, claiming that they were poisoning her through the air conditioning system, okay? And that the cops indicated, and her lawyer said there was no evidence to that either. Okay, why wasn't she institutionalized at that point? That, okay, she's delusional or something. Of course, the people on the internet seem to suggest, though, that it was happening, that, that her neighbors are KKK. I saw something, some people saying her neighbors are KKK, the cops are KKK, the whatever, uh, the judge is KKK, the lawyers are KKK. Okay, then you don't want to be living next to the KKK, that because that's what they're going to do, right? The KKK one time used to lynch black people, right? So you're not safe. If they're KKK, you probably want to move out of there, right? And because but even still, she was in court. Her case was, she was in court for something. Her earlier civil suit, they said it was dismissed. Well, then hire an investigator, right? If you want to prove your point. Her getting guns, what is it going to solve? What is it going to solve? They're just convincing people that you're crazy. And it's just surprising, though, that the people on the internet supporting her do not think she's crazy. You know, they don't think she's crazy. It's astonishing, right? As I was saying this, there was something else I saw on LinkedIn. So there's this lady on LinkedIn who she's actually a lawyer. She's passed several bars. But she's and she talks about her mental illness. She gets out and she starts to strip. She's naked. She's half naked. She's just in her briefs, right? Skimpy. Sometimes she's actually naked. Her body's showing because she's wearing transparent, and her nudity showing. She's naked, and it's on LinkedIn. It's a professional thing out there. But nobody pays attention. She has no friends to get her help. There's nobody. This is where America is. In fact, there are people who applaud her, say, "Hey, go girl, you look beautiful." It's there's an outlet for everything, right? I guess there's OnlyFans. They say there's OnlyFans where people can go and do stuff. If that's your thing, or their mags, that's not what LinkedIn is for, right? And you know, people shouldn't patronize uh, people struggling with mental illness. It's patronizing when you see people with mental illness instead of helping them, making sure that they can maintain their dignity because you still want to give them dignity. You're letting them, make a fool of themselves or whatever. It's something out there because at some point, if it's a mental illness, they're going to come to, right? Because I don't think you can be in your reverie in that state, right? Or that manic state forever, right? At some point, if they come to whatever, it's, oh, wow, they did this, it's crazy. But it goes on and on and on. How do we distinguish just plain reckless behavior, reckless disregard for um, proper norms, and we just say, well, we're just using a fig leaf and excusing everything as mental illness. Not about, well, somebody just doesn't want to exercise self restraint and self control. I don't know. I really don't know. Um, because it's really unfortunate. Are there instances where there are crooked cops? Yes. This May was arrest the cops, prosecute cops, jail cops month. There were just tons of them were arrested. Are there attorneys who are crooked? Yes, they get attorneys disbarred all the time, right? In fact, there's a famous attorney, graduated from my law school, Mike Avenatti, right? Stormy Daniels' attorney, who was like, he wanted to run for president. He was disbarred, he was imprisoned, he was convicted, right? They're crooked attorneys. Are there judges who get disbarred? Yes, there are judges who get, that's harder, but they're judges, you pursue it, right? They get removed, they get retired, they get removed as judges, they can get reprimanded, they can get disbarred, they could get, but you don't attack them, attack their lives or things like that. You don't go and start attacking them. No. And that says you're crazy, no matter what, even if you were under attack, under persecution. But now we'll never know, because now, if she was really under persecution, if she was really being persecuted, being attacked, um, now she's done something, and she's kind of like going to suffer the consequences of what she did. She just victimized people. Those people were just doing their job. Even if she shouldn't have even reacted to, or taken out a gun or try to shoot the neighbors she was accusing of harassing her, right? She shouldn't be getting a gun to try and shoot anybody, right? And it's concerning if you see people have a mental illness. Should they have guns, access to guns? No, right? It's it's just very disturbing, very concerning, and there are these. It's a terrible situation. You don't know. It's like one has to be very cautious amongst Americans these days, right? Because you don't know who is right on the edge, who can get triggered, and everybody just seems to have access to guns these days, and you've got to be very careful. And they just keep saying, well, that they need treatments. You see how formulaic, we are in America, right? Now they're going to probably start spinning the script that, well, black people who complain of some kind of harassment, well, they're probably delusional, and they're going to get a gun and going to start shooting people, right? So they're going to start, she's created that script for them to say, well, because maybe it was true. Maybe the cops just weren't doing their job properly, and the attorneys weren't supporting her properly, right? But now you can see what even her attorney is claiming. Well, this person was delusional, right? Clearly delusional. She had a fixed belief. That was the phrase he used, right? That's like delusional. She had a fixed belief. She wasn't getting the treatment she needed, right? And at some point, they're going to start dismissing illusions of racial discrimination, right? Harassment as being delusional. When we know in America, there are people who get drugged because, there's high drug use in America. There's easy access to narcotics in America. There are people who drug people. So if a woman says, well, she's been date raped and, whatever, she was drugged and raped, they're just going to be dismissing her as, they're just going to be randomly dismissing people routinely as being delusional, right? So she's that formulaic approach in America. It's concerning. But it doesn't help with the easy access to guns, right? The Second Amendment doesn't help. So this is why the Second Amendment should be repealed, right? This reinforces the case for the abolition of the Second Amendment. People who are erratic, stupid, like Marco Rubio says, shouldn't have guns, just lying around in America like that. And it will be discriminatory if some people have guns and others don't have, right? Because America is a land of equality, right? My name is Oloroti Milsha. I'll keep you posted.